Board of the Women's Federation for World Peace USA hereby recognizes Gloria Petersen on this day, September 3rd, 2022. We honor your commitment to inspiring and motivating others to discover their gift based on your journey of overcoming unimaginable challenges. We applaud your service to the community filled with love and compassion and so much more. So congratulations, Gloria. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay. I'm just, I'm just stuttering inside of me right now because of all I just heard about me. I thought, oh my, that's me. We all have moments when we're challenged. We just do. And in fact, societies around the world are probably challenged right now more than they've ever been. So within those societies, I think what we need to do is we need to focus on the Shero, and that's hero with a S, S-H-E-R-O, because they're everywhere. And that's what we need to focus on because they're the examples for us to follow. I share 3 of my experiences with you because they were my near-death experiences. And certainly my life has not been limited to these particular experiences. And sometimes I reflect back on how I handled them. And I even surprise myself and I think, huh? I can't believe I did that. And so you kind of get in the moment. And I think it's the attitude that you have about yourself because I've always considered myself very ordinary, nothing special. And I kind of was raised in that kind of environment as a child, as the oldest of 6. I was just ordinary. And then I get faced with these challenges and they taught me who I really was. So welcome the challenges, because without challenges, you'll never know who you really are, because who you are is how you handle them. And when you listen to the stories that you're going to hear today and at other events that the Peace Network puts on, I stumbled there for a minute, I apologize. They're different for everybody, but there's a nugget in there for you. They've taught me my great lessons. I've learned to appreciate my grit and my determination, which took me beyond feeling ordinary anymore. So I'm gonna share 3. When my son was 5, and certainly he's a young man with 5 children right now, but when he was 5, we were at Clearwater Beach, Florida. And he's in the ocean and he's paddling. But, I'm standing there at the shore expecting him to paddle towards me, but he's not. He's going backwards. And then I thought, huh? This doesn't look right. This doesn't feel right. So I told my daughter, who was on the beach, stay still. I went into the water, went to get my son. But as I did, there was a drop off and there was these breakers that create an undertow. And if you've never felt the force of an undertow, it is strong. I knew we were in trouble because the undertow was pulling us out to sea. And I didn't want to panic. And I didn't want my son to panic, because if we both panicked, that would be it. However, my mind, this is how I don't know how I work. My mind didn't panic. My mind instead reflected on a surfing lesson that I'd had 10 years prior. And in that surfing lesson, I was taught how to catch a wave. And so the waves were building because the storm was coming. So I decided I'm going to catch the next wave. And I told my son, paddle as hard as you can when I say paddle. So the minute that wave got there, I reflected on that experience and I caught the wave. We paddled enough forward that I could dig my toes into the sand before the drop off. And that's how we survived. I think about it sometimes. I think, who thinks to do that when you think about it? Another is I'm a cancer survivor. Had no idea I was sick. Ended up in the hospital one night, had been misdiagnosed about 3 times prior, had a tumor that was on the verge of bursting. Had no idea. I had no warning. If I'm going to get anything, it's going to be rare. And it was a rare cancer. It's called carcinoid. And, but I obviously I survived it because I got there just in time. And that's a story within itself. But what it taught me is what stress does to the body. And when they told me the cancer in my body was about 7 years old, and I reflected back 7 years, what was going on in my life? Well, I'll tell you what was going on in my life. I was the victim of a senseless act of violence. And so that was the end result of that. It wasn't over. In the senseless act of violence, I was working holiday help at Marshall Fields, if you know that store. And I caught a woman trying to steal a $12,000 mink coat. She didn't see me. All I did was yell at her to drop the coat. And I did not realize she had a scalpel because she was cutting the coat off the hanger. And she came after me. Well, long story short, this senseless act of violence almost cost me my life because she stabbed with that scalpel my left leg, 75% of that main muscle. And even when I went to ER and my sister was there, the nurses said, we don't know how she survived because she lost a dangerous amount of blood. We have no idea how your sister's even living. Secondly, I remember 2 doctors looking over me. I call one Dr. Pessimist and one Dr. Optimist, because Dr. Pessimist said, we can't save this leg. I can hear them talking, but I'm in shock, but I can hear them talking, but I can't talk. Okay. And Dr. Pessimist, well, we're just going to have to take the leg. Her sister's here. We've got family, and just be done with. Dr. Optimist said, well, we have another doctor who's really good with muscle repair. Let's call him over and give her a chance, because if nothing else, we can just put her on hold. Thank God, literally, for that other doctor. And then during the recuperating part of it, I was told that I would never have full normal use of my left leg. I was told that I would have a limp for the rest of my life. My relationship at the time, I was engaged, and he was reading the prognosis, and he dumped me. I mean, I never saw him again after that. He did not want to take care of an invalid, if you can believe that. That's how that. So that was emotional hurt that I was dealing with while I was dealing with physical hurt. And my doctor also told me that this is the key thing here. He told me that I would always wear flat shoes, like nursing shoes. I like high heels. I'm short. I can have my heels. And he says, your heels are out of the question. I said, my leg's going to be normal, and I'm going to wear heels, period. And that was my attitude. So I think what happens, and the long story short of that, because obviously everybody who's met me and seen me, I don't walk with a limp, and I do wear my heels. But I healed beyond expectation. It was like he uses me as an example in some of his classes at Loyola University now, because of the role my mind played. So my message to you here is, when you have an accident, ill, or whatever the case may be, don't depend on the doctors and the meds to make you better. You've got to have the right attitude. It takes grit, it takes determination, it takes a mental part of the healing process. It is so important. And during that senseless act of violence, I learned about my grit. I learned what it was going to take to get me back to normal. And I got there. Not everybody gets there, but you get close if you don't get there. So, that's kind of my message for you in this HerStory moment. I was determined to walk normally again. I did. The gentleman I was engaged to, do you know what? He still tries to get back into my life. It's not happening. You walked out on me when I needed you the most. But you know who I needed the most at that moment? I needed my faith, which I rediscovered. I had taken a journey from it. I needed my faith, and I needed me. And I got through it. So sometimes you can't depend on other people, and you shouldn't try to, but you can depend upon yourself and make a decision as to how you want your outcome to be. So again, I healed beyond expectation. So in closing, I just want you to always look for the she with an S, hero with an S, the she-ru in you, because she's there. Thank you for this time to share.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gloria. The she rules. Okay, remember that one, and also remember challenge and grit, because these are very important points to remember whenever you're getting into a challenge. Wow, Gloria, thank you so much for sharing that. There's so much more. So, if you ever want to learn more about Gloria, you're going to have to really go on our Women's Federation website and learn more about her. Thank you so much. It was a beautiful sharing. Our next an awardee is going to be Dr. Marilu G.